Boka 22 billion. A car beya ye kaya. Mako Dija Boka 22 billion Ghana cedis. The whole Ghana fit independence. Ye more casada on any transaction. 22 billion Ghana cedis. And no cry can oma yirom who destroy in a different way. No manya aboafo, be a journalist, be a civil society for a boam. Some tumfutrungun kofweni. Inti problem na ye wanted there. So papa. Would be ya the answer say on can cry. First na be a obi ka someone no cry. Wa who's as someone no crenti be a Obaka say we entro me ha me hono. Say adwuma no ye jai bibia beba otenye no bia no ye be correct record no mo bia who said o mo ka no cry.
God boss story no. Enjo. Any say. Enjo onini ha bracho mebo. Kwame onini bracho. Ma was man kana onini. Anti honorable. Me kan wash wa ho ba na onini. The big issue page no Kwame mpocho ma music and mankan na me wi am famo Kwame mbom to be fair emi me politician e bia metwa akohwi enti mpocho won fama Kwame kan afo wudi kan na wi afabra we ye IMF International Monetary Fund
abusuya we dey mamenchi na memo akwa abamfa wombra roundage report so na ene sansensem ya ekoso e wo my Ghana mu hade in fact minim da eto obetimi atwa ama asumdwe aba frise enokore bi enya ma mededi ena won mo mopemu ensem atie no mopem emu hunu mo nso so ebisa se enkoji se nokore bededi ama Ghana fo nyina hunu se wo man no ya boka puduo no nya de se wo mo so begem tie ne kodwo Oppong Nkrumah ya wono na ye MPP mra hye bedwane ya wodwina mu de ma de hye wono mo wofo ase ayere bia bato mpahua so wono wodena no atomo bi sanso so ena as usual opinions metimi akasa de chie bia ya wonam abefo ten fidie internet so ya wono so ekon den na me kire Kwame na Afenyo marking ya wono na ye openipa ya woda edom kuma no wo man mra hye bedwafiem na ene wono mu de nkrata bi ne nkomo bi ababonten ya kire se NDC aban ye na afamu dia se de be ya eka bi a oman Ghana ya bon obegia tum na ya kase oman ya boka enu nti ade bechi bia no good board e de kosue Bank of Ghana na Bank of Ghana da besue good board na we de akosue we sa nti ama NDC aban empese ye de eka no oman no abo ne ho ntansa bebo no nti ye na ide nkomo no ye nhyeda enya ne pomasi bre na ene kwadwo Oppong Nkrumah ene Afenyo marking ababonten edin chiremu bi aba mepese obegibre na wati eno da nchen so enkrata bi ababonten afa mining companies bi aban pese woje ehwim amanfo bi ehwim furu amanfo bi nsem mpokura Ghana fo mpo mo ya mining nyina na aban pese ohwihwim ni nyina de furu wonum nsem ene enkrata ababonten a mepese obegibre na watie nkomo no akoso ne bi amu ahunu se NDC aban nya de se wono my Ghana yedi ni ye kura kwan ya ofa so one Ghana fo di ni de nyonyono kura na so wodi nyantobo ase na yentie nkomotwetwe dodo no a nei atumi akoso no ebie
ba so me kwa homa no se na me ne ofo ase aye bi member of parliament and now a ranking member wo economy and development committee of parliament mameni nkudi enkobo abuko job Oppong. Good morning.
Morning god dey say
anyame adoboko na ba so so
nyame adom ho ye
de nyame ase na mba cho confirm mame judge na wotena asa no so ndura no eye fe de say
my lord Scott Paman not transfer acting as a sole judge for the Supreme Court.
Gabriel Scott Paman former PNC for secretary you one
never join.
Okay me dasi pa na radio straight away yanko sa enkomo no ankasa mpa cho e de bad na mode court ya enura Supreme Court e di ruling ba ye no e na e de bad na de court no.
Okay, ma me fa won Ghana constitution ni mo Ghana nyina ye mra hodo e wo ha no mra di kan mra ni na ne fapem eno ne ye mra kunia e fa ne constitution no e ma ye nyina fa hodi ahodo fa hodi ni do article 17 17:1 ne 17:2 o say eba no mra asemu a eni se mra yididi god no different from mra yididi dewuru. There should be equality before the law. Nkofo mi no ana me nsa na nan enya asem na ye de omu gina mbra ni ma o se mra ko na na yididi obia na saying temudu wani to for more Ghana hano ye will be a friend of legal vacation afibia do August September superior court no judges no co leave na lawyers that practice the superior court no mono almost ajo ma home kaka enti do legal vacation na assembia e wo superior court no mono suspended October no ye be the friend term time na near fiase enti so bi wasem na e wo superior court ni mo a August September ye twa asem ne sign no October ya twa so but ye wo the friend of vacation judges a omo ya appoint to say judges ni na ko leave ni eja kakra bi wa kire so omo hwe kire omo de omo ye ni say during the vacation no say assembly by here your friend of interlocutory injunction and I say sorry interlocutory application yeah or so what say a corner be a court be granted injunction be an answer secretary be an abibia or more behena or more a handle assembly and the yeah ma'am will be vacating judge I can say unconducted full trial only for interlocutory matters and I'm saying who do I need to for more itu MPP for you do mako jina court be for sama who do be no Chief Justice ama warrant to say vacation mo dey nkoso ani o masem ya no na me hwe mrani mo na me call Supreme Court the Supreme Court article 17(1) and 2 no na on kansi sudia say Chief Justice warrant now the ama judges be say vacation no mo omonye full trial no it's here article 17(1) and 2 of the constitution nti no ya asem oda ho afina Supreme Court e ba appointed judges no man kan asem no na whilst Supreme Court e be kan asem no judges no so ya ri on beto aso aye yo mo ye no wo ase ho a so mo ko ye wi na se koketi bi fa ho die ho problem a uchi say anye ye enti no and no, I'm the injunction. If I not some the injunction application about Supreme Court to say Supreme Court ain't issue injunction and must judges and say and some Supreme Court back at some no answer. Supreme Court can't say many we are now almost yeah Supreme Court back no any idea ejuma. Can no I court ruling on the injunction application there are Scott Mamang say on the nyadring our injunction application no it can say on only issue no ye meet threshold for injuncting the court the court no to me to aso ayo omajuma our brafina Supreme Court eba beka assembly nkasa and then we see the Afenyo Supreme Court be fixed date for assembly nkasa normally decided judges better assembly nkasa so okay. The only determine your injunction application no
oh ye injunction application the substantive matter ne de omunya ntena so na edabere mbetena so
my date or my judges.
Na enkosu unnecessary delay die.
Say at the end of the year there is a judges in some inti omo no be my date. Court registrar na be my date. Na Chief Justice I am panel na ometi challenge of the Chief Justice's warrant in the substantive matter no.
Wow. Okay, Mate. Antony say omo the date in the buy no say be say the say di substantive matter but
exactly to avoid delay na nunti na ehu here say one on be fixed date for no entem then two omo be injunct high court judges they say munchen na yen kan say Supreme Court we are there mo ye no say mbo to aso say mbo jayo ye because one my in the Supreme Court no am ho asem no pomasi bre now jai court no so what say say omo nko so nya dia omo ye na then e wa Supreme Court no na say be o man ko to me say omo fa wani munye fom. That's what's happening now.
Yeah, now omo taka say injunction application is as good as injunction itself, especially whereby we put a medical Supreme Court no nti e be say ka court na ankasa on this own no ese ko mutimi jai ana
in fact court high court for ne dey omo jai So here last week High Court ni na jai say asemo Supreme Court in some of saka enyi. Na say High Court judges for no crime poster decided said there be asemo akọ Supreme Court yen kan wie here yen training into Supreme Court. Na ya ba ho Supreme Court into usu sisu dia say omo ntwen na wo ka tem ni wi a omato aso a. Me dia na nka misusu se nka ne kwan aso ne se wo be kasa ampa. Munyai ye kwan po dia be na suke be ka tem ye wi ka wi na mo hu dia mbe. But ono on 50 bits for 7 and kata. Ono injunction application na wo the hose Oma High Court chairman can't million. Also a burgle, the High Court because we need Jumano. Was on one cata and can't seven. I want to say,
na Enra, me who say, Dr. Justice Samusai, Deputy AG, no, so can see BS was say, one man, because 1 week now, 1 year drinking, who delay case, no, and the Supreme Court for also say, almost was Supreme Court for Cassibiti out, and I was also saying yes, I did. Then that's and better no.
Oh no, say, yeah, I say, maybe application, no, a delay or trial by 1 week. That the application was mounted on deliberate falsehood. These are the company and judge the case was mounted on deliberate falsehood. That, okay, ruling that one person. Who more than judge, I'm sorry, who pulled in the application, no. But we are not in the nominal judge, and the car said there be. As someone made the backcourt, and you know, we are no. After they are made to buy one just there. Into their memo cannot, they are the side trail with their memo cannot. A constitutional challenge against Article 17, 1 and 2. Into focus, you will honor responding. Make remember about team because they will come for 7 or 7 1 year. Who have been about thing a 2 foot of gun for any say a delay, child there 1 week. Important. We just
Mame Sanfre back. Yes, I want a 102B. Mame Sanfre back. I was a for Oppong Nkrumah and I'm in a Casana. Yahumano. I yes, tack it to a be empty for no as I come home beam and Tino. As I to my batch or your befriend, Yanina Atwa and Cobono City, a city no. Peter, I was saying, when I hear your opinion, your opinion, so I would Mahama so Ababe Kayan said, I cry, a be introduced, or 102 bintino. I cry, a be introduced now. But he's in the house. Where 102 bintin. I can be introduced na Eddie and Kobo. Every time I mention, I mean, try to be saying, me, Rokojo Ponko baby ma, 9 and 12 and Consi. Uncle Bibri, Eddie, will hold on. If we are Honorable Pacho, what to make you beat Marco? But what to make her?
You out propaganda, I can't say, okay, be a to be, you have to Dr. Baumiadia. Japandi one my says as a man no correct no man can who they are to go for trim nom denam but yes no ye nyan to say sebe omuko ditra first na bia obi ka someone no cry wa who say monye no krenti bia obi ka say we entro me ha me ho no say adwuma no ye jai bibia beba otenye no kra bia no ye be correct record no mo bia who say de omuka no nye no kra
honorable me does say asem efiri ho na aba me dasi pa because me de man ye me hu pa ne say nipa da saniti me ka se Dr. Baumia kramoni papa bi every preku ebo whiskey na obi a we Ghana ni a wono frem so we nipa timi gididi honorable se aseme be ka bi a
won say ye na ya na ye gidi say obi a access to information and obi a so ye rational inti obi di tro nipa no otie tro na obi hu say enye no kre. But NDC for no musuba ni say yenya no kra no obe kan force the ato so na obi asebe oni sa information ni bi no wakwa akoye den wate na wate edi ye boy ho modern free SHS ni ade so nipa he na akọ school nipa he na betumi afa court ruling no akenkan nipa he na sebe obetumi aka so ko internet so akọ search kakra nti omunim sa ni nti no mo twatro atonkofo etirim car be ya ye kan ya mako dijwa boka 22 billion Ghana cedis the whole Ghana fit independence ye more casad on any transaction 22 billion Ghana cedis And no cry can o ma yirom who detro in a different way. No manya aboafo, e be a journalist, e be a civil society for a boa some tumfu trungun kofo ni. Inti problem na ye won there. E so papa. Wo be ya there na so say on kan cry heading.
But straight away you need sa enkomo no good board so no you need e ho enkomo aden na etinye abasa asem no mpacho you need enkomo no adintra.
But etinye na aba ho na no ne asem American because NDC ogidi say asem na enye no kra no kaka obetumi akama na to nkofo trim eno na ama etinye aba ho enka etinye ni bia yi Maminkai wahwefo ne watiefo kakra April 2025 aban by 4 months or then the budget by parliament mekenkan mu na okaya dom kuma no ye budget debate ne ka kyerom say yehu dia moye economy ni bibia nsesa bibia so nsesa dia moye ne say yeru about me domestic gold purchase program no de buy no reserves na AU dino eno na mu yi na mo pompi go market no so ti mu ya artificial supply of dollar ama na create impression say economy na yi artificial supply of dollar no ya dollar be ba form nti eno na mo ye na mo de no ada Ghana for say economy na yi nti say obi kofa adefi abrochire ba na ne bo aba form nti nipa no o mi adwuma wa ha obeka kokra na IMF abrochire ba because mo pompi dollars egu market no so na dollars na mo pompe no ye ne the domestic gold purchase program ne ba ye nim ne na nso kakra wo ho ade amoye no mu wi amobeboka typical with NDC omu di atemi di tro om se enye no kre de aye kan enye no kre governor na be ka se enye no kre president na ka se be ka se enye no kre di atem sa se enye no kre every month be na ye update Ghana for on the interventions are no moye ti do baby no se weti for no ahwe for be kaya IMF for Edma Omasote say ampa the minority for can no kre hu se mo pompe nti mo fa framework emra guidelines for pumping no omo the guidelines no ebeba no omo suspend the pumping nti the dollar ne sign 3 bi omo kodu be 12 eno na central for call Jubilee House omo bisa president say dollar ne ti bi omo afi president jitu mu say the Bank of Ghana was intervening the bro for no by pumping na no suspend the and na dollar na san ejiegu no the framework e bound the bar e bijai and pump the framework ne bar and say so omo pompe a bosi me bi o so omo catch wa no ma pompe by the time we finished the year no ma pompe $10 billion $10 billion onto the market. Now omo pompe $10 billion onto the market no ninsunsan so one say maybe omo yi cedis ni fi no mo de akoto gold no e de abenya dollar na be pompe no tokuro e da ho until at the end of the year no by September no IMF catch them say tokuro na be da ho ne $214 million e wo Bank of Ghana nti obeka mesan be ye central for nhemu e mama so te say ade na mo ye ne ye kan mo ntie no say mo ka $214 million Mama yensin kunya ni investigate ni hu bia tokuro na beta ni so anu ani ya eno so me kan omucha mi adapa sa ye the motion crab parliament say mama yenye investigation no dom kese no promotion ni guye but ogba ma the motion by say ya sounds what to say moton ye gold na half mama yenhwem say one am authorization moton ne say cause ade na mo ani tokuro ne be kese omsa boguye. At the end of the year, Bank of Ghana for your account. No, na Bank of Ghana for back can say. Maybe you see this sniffy at the cotton gold, no. A cotton ebe pompe dollars ni go market no so no. Toko abeda hono a 9.05 billion Ghana cedis. Bank of Ghana for ne kai.
Oh goodness. Yem say line no ye bibi kaka but come no so ede I don't know. Pastor yanko fa che me.
Hello.
Pastor me was so line na ha adwen but yanko.
Pastor me kan.
Pastor me ti ka party ento aso.
The Bank of Ghana for
goodness. I'm going to Oppong Nkrumah and I didn't edi and Kobono efa good board who ensensem no. It's not ma ye background na kasa from last year ba na ka build up aba BCD course but yem say lines no hard we kakra MTN for ya complain enra say enra chime at 3 days ago the whole day na mintimi nya call. Yes, the whole day me reported my mama eventually na say be call omo office asa better resolve the whole day omo to resolve na about 3 p.m. me phone.
Sorry, the number you dialed.
It's no behwe si nya honorable bi ma na na atwa nkobo so go bon komo ndi yebedi ye ya jesi ye boso say ahade ye mema yinsinso ma asa ne ham ye beka ho asem enkofo mu gold board na mu dwane no minima de kro e bia bright so my say money boss na wo mani nte say mo kate mo na mo hwe be fofo dia menti ase Peter so far na enkobo na ti say wo you better atwa enkobo no so asa go board man ai say and media mawie say my argument say
okay
ayareko such selective justice say ye wo oman mu na say obi eye bone a ono de yetuma no reprieve say nya na man nko say bi ono ne bone ne kura no eboroso na obi de oye the same or even lesser idea in fan 20 years time will tell. All right, inti Peter Ankuma na Martin ka men kwa homa no se na mesenya onabo ni enko. We the fache say homa no anope wo ma minimum ko na di na yo moya. Ah, di pa customer public education no.
O me dey ankomo ni
yebedi yes.
Inti Bank of Ghana for account on the buy no ma dia to say o ma boka 9.05 billion Ghana cedis. Na make us account no. Also on the parliament up to now me no ka so mo fem mai. The account in the DAO. 9.06 billion. What do you call dollars more? At that rate, $900 million. At the start, $214 million. I can't say, any investigation, or more blocking a investigation. No. By the end of the year, the Bank of Ghana for the catcher and say $900 million. Let's say, Kano, a bomb by M9, by 4 times. Okay. Now, wait now. Fofi Antoata, IMF for or maybe o my jumanti or moko no match or monkrata nyina. And no more beti abine to say. Abine catch us a canny $900 million opwa. The canny $1.7 billion. Now IMF forecast in paragraph 13 of selected issues document. $1.7 billion. Yakokaya NDC abine muni yakum. Almost in Nipoka, no, Okoka say a gold board car. Na gold board in Nekebia. Intime Mubian Case, and this is boy car. How? I did so our document more black and white say. Mobo Ghana 1.7 billion. Canada Bank of Ghana. Now, about the saying that they say debate now be fixated on a cano. My book munewo ewo gold board book ma newo Bank of Ghana book so gold board also Bank of Ghana o mo Ghana ka $1.7 billion.
Precisely so. What am I saying no? Say gold board do say a year Bank of Ghana say a year a Fed say custom so say why you a Ghana
mo Ghana ka can insurance one say ye be check kanu ma wo God in wetia make kwadwo metie we tie phone nyina se kan say if say I was born a boy still me no ni bitua and media mentia say and say from April 2025 I started this as a moechi e kan conform and while some deny they bia na kan kosro enra e kan bi beka ho enne bi ba beka ho otina bi ba beka ho because omo focusing yintum ema ye hu kwan e be fa so ano propaganda na yo mo de kan o ma di watem photo
but a quick one e kana abano debate na sa eka ne ba ye say ase yintra ebi nso say first forex exchange no eka say de omo FX no Bank of Ghana no the global for motor higher than the Bank of Ghana for affix ese bebre debate did na e course sa losses no
what can IMF report na on listing yama hodo ba ko say assaying ba ko say off taker fees ba ko say discounts let's say omoto no aboarding thing le buan ka say we say omoto ne mo hin na discount e mo hin na assaying e mo hin na off taker fees and no ne wo say ye man ho kwan na parliament transfer e investigate ni assessing na dia ya ne say mpenifo okom ha civil society for mpenifo okom ha what asemu hia won no mo ka say ampa ntinka people ne boka 1 billion wa uvu zenka civil society for ni media for ni ade ya o maka o manu atuma o mo na say o me PR rules for road board ni Bank of Ghana ni NDC abai uvu zenka o mbeka o manu atuma mo ne wasa mo hia mo say okay a candidate it has been established 22 billion. This is the single most colossal loss in any transaction that Ghana has done since independence. Ghana near transaction but could be a mocha like this transaction. Fit independence. I was saying here I'm saying say a henny free discount, a henny free off-taker fees, a henny free a friend say assaying charges. Who comes you a carry from 17% to 9%. Marincha wa there. And now me say so mo ankasa omo ka say sika ye de maom ti figure na me ba bebo no. Sika ye de maom 133 billion cedis. What you figure na mboye no?
And I know Sammy Gyamfi can 133 billion Ghana cedis. Was it you got 133 billion Ghana cedis now the year business and kwadi akakabeshi.
Okay. now Pacho, Maminya analysis be ma what you for with T40. Unim Ghana budget for 2025. Safina Ghana Ninara feature man penny Ekosi classroom teacher or Shabody Sango Etriho baby. Contractors Nina electricity, ensure fuel. Ghana Ninara Emunipa 33 million. Unim a budget for 2025. But producer was studio.
Me bacho ai.
You see, se me can confuse ma producer on internet so no Google say what was Ghana's appropriation for 2025. Of course say uncle Google what say discuss. No about the case no work at.
I bacho and you the ento say better kin sisi
me pese we tie for ne wahwe for omo tin komo na yedi na say. Say abayne say or the 133 billion and a copper of gold. And we are boka 22 billion. Now starting year na kane 17%. And I want to take can also be do 9%. Let's just say 133 billion no. Yemfa 132 tunche yemfa 1 billion per example. Let's just say 1 billion biano omu year. Omu shimu 17%. We see for an hour for calculator we are on calculating 17% of 1 billion.
Okay, intino wa wunua panyi e wa ase no mo Alhaji Audu Mahama managing editor of the Custodian newspaper. Wa check ya ma MCCA. Ghana's appropriation budget for 2025 na year 293.118 billion. Intino
240 billion. Ghana money in naira. Nipa 33 million na wo money. Yes you electricity and a teacher for lithium, soldier for lithium, a fire here, contractor for lithium. What can you now 230 billion?
293, yes, 293.
293. A minus a year budget million, of course, them was saying a 133 billion. What are they? 22 billion. Now you can't say we are the CDD4, IDEC, IE, SEPA, ISE. Omo ni down him fa.
IERP for ho maka ho asem. Nti ye fa ne sa.
Omo pe na e kasa o.
Ai.
They say between omo ni CPS, me tis obi aka. Omo pe na e kasa. But in the civil society for wo Nkrumah nyina nti. Insu to e one ti a. Ade etin ye no. Unu se former form. Central for a obi to pro book akohwe book anokra ba akokra nim. Say Japade book. Omo de betina TV so be discuss they say. Yes say book bi aba. No de no a discussion. They pro, no de a discussion. And the central for na a defend this scandal.
And so my ambassadors for Gold Board entido.
Central for na a defended this scandal. Enti ubisa say dey na be controversy. A be controversy because aban no kan no kure. And when ya boafo a e boa no nti no kure da ho a e wo kratemu Bank of Ghana kan ho asem, IMF kan ho asem no. Omo buli kom say asem bia ni ho a wo say discuss. Asofo mpanimfu.
Omo da so ho. Ojo do bi ka say NDC for Afenyo magya tum say sa gold purchase ewie no Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia de buy enti say ka bia bade a e nefa ko Dr. Bawumia and be say na say economy say dey manage na gold board and I say gold purchase say se no na ma economy na de a and ye fa credit so ko Dr. Bawumia ye no can say
you see the podcast asem no civil society penny, but it's one of the most irresponsible statements I've heard. Obi also we a civil society penny na asem say anka wo so to bona wo se we bia domestic gold purchase program this year. Aboying and on the Ghana economy no credit. Number 2, a choir buy way fast so buy or see research into what resetting or system and none at the caba. Into the papa mo a yen tennis in the shed baby a canifia but near who choir be fast so yes over no. Almost the dear God did yet. Wouldn't 22 billion a juma a bit to me. Now 1 billion crown me do a bit me.
Bebre bubuja. Na say ayi kura boy. Expressway Phantom Expressway ajom hama so beye. Almost say 4 billion and $4 billion dollars.
Can you imagine? Some say aba. Asem no etinyeje ni ho no. Omo nyi o mani ebu asem ni ko mu say. The PNC a problem be any ho. Because the activities kama the bredi. The cat 22 billion now or machine no or mubi bread dibi. Into can no mumbi or money defend this Semino assembly anyhow. Equa dollar number 10 into a movie ankasa. Economics will be a fan of optimization. Optimization no. Maybe I will say Oko to car brain. Can you name him say let's weigh $30,000. We want to talk car number, I'll see $200,000. You can also buy some of the car number. Was that at the optimal cost? Car $30,000. No, one part the car number, now the car number $200,000. The Bissau send a banner saying you're spending $170,000 more than what we should spend. Was it that's a car number? Menkasa. What sort of analysis is this? What sort of joke is this?
And last one, ebi mu say ade no kwa na ohwe mu a losses no inherent in the policy formulation. Say yes mbra no wo ho no eye danya ka no beba. Na enra de papa yin sex offending obeka na say no wo lecturer University of Ghana. Obeka na abonten Professor Jampo medase. Wo say asem won tiase because who go school as Oppong school be bag wa queen. O kasa cost no wo churchra and a bro 1 billion. Now I say in no we betanka say we parents o mama no papa no ma hwe support we na no ntino e ye ka no ma bo ana sa no person what say it is na school la we take say your parents or guardians have made some losses and sa no work
okay but I'm not sure so bit because no say no yaman ejuma wo ever
maritime authority shippers authority shippers
bia na o defend their plan no bet na TV so say you declare state of emergency no for ngalam say
one
NDC ba munya almost 2 years no state of emergency na fa hemfa
was say you don't just go ahead and then declare state of emergency. You must look at certain things. No, what the TV so yes, hey Ghana.
Many nkofo epe tumia asemo omoka come de obi na or kasa na asem ye bako o di TV na aduane se nanum a na asem ye different. Eno na ye koso no because nka se mu ye ozo obi a tumi ka no kwese ampa na onim mami nsam bi another dimension. They say me ankasa onim bibi by the way mami kan cho my NDC for na asem we di se Ghana for wa refree my di first na me feel say enya asem Ghana for krampo ebejeno abochu but say me ankasa my because me ntia say ade bi da ho plane enya plane fa NDC to me di hutro na nipa na wotie ne refi first one no Bank of Ghana be catch us a canny 9 billion IMF be catch us a canny 1.7 billion what's the difference
difference
the first question almost 2 times the cost. The first question I was say Ghana ni baby ebisa o dey for gold board to change for bibia to change. The first question I was say Ghana ni baby ebisa say the man say na Bank of Ghana for catching say canny 9 billion now IMF for catching say canny 1.7 billion enu nko akora na o say refuse enu nko akora na o say refuse but as bia go fi and for bia ho mo ko kan no mo di watem mo ko kan no manya no e di watem na so man no ne say ne pese ye no say e bia because obi anya bibi adi nti no kra ne ye nka biom yeah and on because wa boss aka ya bo
but of fact me I would say figures bia boy no or clarification I would busa na one thing
Obo say BOJ say 9 billion and IMF say 1.7
billion dollars.
I don't know 9 billion mentioned by BOJ. Every say I know you're in CDs, right?
Yes.
9 billion CDs.
And IMF say 1.7 billion. Dollar terms 22 billion.
What say you can CD terms Bank of Ghana for say 9.9 billion CDs.
Yes.
But IMF was 22 billion.
That's why
exactly.
CDs.
Exactly. When you mention 9 billion, 1.7 billion.
And Bank of Ghana was 9 billion. Yes. IMF also the very financial 22 billion CDs.
Correct. That's it.
Okay.
Presby moderator, Bishops Conference, Methodist, Pentecost, so they forget the gold board ni hwan ade nyina. The Bank of Ghana say oboka 9 billion. Now IMF say can 22 billion na. And precure be a conscience Nkrumah. No say nana na me wo station bi so Kumasi. Me ni NDC ni bi studio ho. Asimo ka na say mukra no mutu to for National Cathedral 50 million went to me NC. Na me say me so bi to abeti MPP say ye to for National Cathedral yen to me and see nipa kro no me ne nkontokwa and right and maintenance so utifie na come utifie wo peduma utifie wo kwanye na te say yakotu to for National Cathedral yen to me and see we now business say $50 million and $80 million yen to me anye we na ubufu a metwase na $80 million no wo de ba cedis mu a 800 million cedis through 1 billion inti ebufo na yenyama say 50 million say 80 million no through 1 billion no and now what 22 billion no ebufo no way
bufo be dey esema BP e ma akoda ICU
ana na ye politics ni o tan keke na moye 22 billion Ghana cedis in 1 year on one transaction. The single most colossal loss on a single transaction since the inception of Ghana. And phobia.
You the best here. You the best here. We best studio actually. I'm not next week the catch of once for us one back. We best studio me at nas na ye we hu.
I'm the man you my you.
I read yes say omo ye nyina so ye ka ho. Ye so ye ka ho to be ha. Enti Peter se me catch so watch na I would do so watch ya we te won catch.
Me chom nyina me da wase anope.
So yeah, that's a power for the education. All right, into your life about radio United Kingdom and yet to encommon so no. My ma I would do na bibia boko de.
Oh boko.
Ye de nyame ase.
Oh ma me akwaba na me Gyamfi na me kasa.
Send na eja. What the meeting make concession.
Yeah, one of friend.
Meeting make concession. Me no penny there. You deserve all the
Me that's a power.
Young quite encommon go board as one the deco.
Peter best.
Okay, Peter.
Kwani?
Yeah.
Oka assembly. Oka assembly. Now we say NDC for say loss a canaba no. Yemfa nkobo MPP for.
God boss story no. Enjoy. Anything. Enjoy. Onini ha Rajab mebo. Kwame onini. Rajab. Ma what's man kana onini. Ati honorable. Me kan wash wa hoba na onini. The big issue page no. Kwame mpocho me music and mankan. Na me wi am famo. Kwame mbom to be fair. Emi me a politician. E bia me twa kohwi. Enti mpocho won famo Kwame. Kan afọ wodi kan na wi afabra. Where ye IMF International Monetary Fund. Ghana was selected issues. Correct. Na one more Eddie Free International Monetary Fund, Washington DC. Thank you. Date no August 2026. Yo, mpocho area minority for reporter. There be. Kwame, can brofo no boko. What's it? Enjoy. Kanene ya bebo lottery. What's now the numbers? Thank you. In 2025, the significant scaling up of DGPP operations led to losses of over 1.7 billion. Billion what? Dollars. That is 1.5% of GDP. Right. Almost entirely related to gold for reserve. Oil purchases. This amounted to a loss of 17% of the value of all gold sold by the Bank of Ghana. Losses accrued on gold trades are a combination of service and assay fees paid to gold board. Emphasis. Okay. Kwame, emphasis. Mate, meka hobiem. Was say amounting to 17% of the value of the gold sold by the BOG. Losses accrued on gold trades are a combination of service and assay fees paid to gold board. Continue. Discounts on gold sold to off-takers, that is exporters, and most importantly, exchange rate losses from the spread between Forex Bureau rate paid to purchase gold and the CD reference rate used for BOG accounting. That's figure 7. Survey data suggests that Ghanaian ASGM, that's artisanal small scale gold mining, prices are among the abbreviation or artisanal small scale gold mining. Right. Gold. Right. Moon. Okay. Right. Are among the highest in the region. Right. So it means that in West Africa, yen artisanal gold na in yet ton, it is the most expensive. Yet ton abozin na area yaboko. And it's a yekade, the minority no a church azim na yekade. One ton gold in boko, na gold board aton gold abokawa. Assembly Kodo. These accounting losses partly reflect valuation effects rather than economic costs. Stay there, Kwame. So what this means is that the argument by government abandoning Shemi there is always an economic cost to implementing an economic policy such as this gold purchase program. No, it's not correct, because per this audit by IMF, with government ajatum. By the way, just for clarity, anytime IMF does a report, it shares the draft with government for government to express its own views as to the issues emanating from the report. So what I want the public to know in there, this final report is what both parties have agreed and signed to as the final conclusion. Right. So from this report, you know, the IMF is saying there, the gold for reserve program, you know, or the domestic gold purchase program, you know, has a structural design defect. What the report is saying therefore is that the policy has failed, and the losses are not as a result of economic costs. That's why they stated it in black and white. Yeah. So you cannot even argue that the IMF was not fair. The IMF was fair. And the language of the report, you know, per what we all know in governance, is agreed by both parties. So you have been indicted as a government for failing in such a key policy. So if you tell me that, oh, your justification is that you have brought in so much forex in the gold trade and that has resulted in the stability of the cedi, your own report is indicting you that no, you had some inefficiencies in the program. The honorable gold board naboka na BOG naboka. This question you have the answer. What is the answer in the report? Before I come in with my explanation, in the report, what did the IMF say? Yenga yezi nukwalama iraze in Oman Ghana. What you just read, you know, IMF attributed the losses to which institution? Mpocho. You come gold board. Sir, can you have a ones into Munko's requirement? Gold board. Can you now want it? What you? No, but I'm can you assembly Canada gold board into in America. But wait, Kwame Mpocho. Is it me who is saying it? Debbie. So must I be insulted? Or do be Shamahoba? Make Asama to Bido. Misobinizin akot to Pado there, one shana hoba. Is that not the report? Is a minority lying? Is any serious institution making fact check in this country going to tell me that the minority is wrong? What is the IMF saying about the losses? Are they not attributing it to gold board? Are they not attributing it to the entire domestic gold purchase program? Are they not talking about the forex losses? Are they not talking about the exchange rates? Are they not raising the pricing? Kwame, let me add another point. When gold board loan were here, there were two things given to gold board as a mandate. One, a regulatory function. Two, a monopoly function. And I will explain. Make a regulatory function. Gold board now were established by an act of parliament. Regulatory function you there. And one na artisanal gold. Yeka artisanal gold. Yeka the small scale mining. Funi nyina gold board is a embra, a regulating one. So that is the law I have passed. Second, embra no so say obi biara or your small scale mining biano or your one institution in a or do ton no gold in the morning or your gold board. Kwame. So anybody selling artisanal gold will sell that gold to gold board, because by law gold board has the exclusive mandate, monopoly over the gold that is mined under them artisanal gold mining, subsector of the mining industry. Now, Yen argument in there. To that extent, one cannot say that sebio losses no gold board on yan one because all the gold from the artisanal mining sector no or ya own and say one fan forward. Now say Ebekaya, when the minority first read the interim report of IMF, Bekaya the last year was it 10-year disclosure be your first report, the 5th review no. This report is a 6th review. 1/5 review no was stated there. There were some losses up to $214 million. When we got hold of that report, we filed a motion in Parliament. You file a motion, no, an argument in there. Even the fees were just too high, and immediately you raised the fees as some, which was 15%. BOG and Gold Board held an emergency meeting and reduced the fees to 9%, and later reduced it further to some 5%. And now, after the 6th review report, you know, Bank of Ghana says it is exiting the program entirely. Kwame, we raise this issue as patriots, as part of our oversight, the area parliamentarians. Say omanu bibiru kocho na yen yanka wona bi on obaka na sefu pia we school a aben say a minister no say oni clearance finance ministry say the fiscal space ahonzi nyiwo meanwhile through this gold for reserve programming you've incurred such huge losses. You needed only 6 billion to employ some nurses and teachers. Musimu need 6 billion. Yet 22 billion has gone down the drain.
My question and say gold board for no a Bank of Ghana for an amount say munto gold my mukwa munto ni say fees ni anyame womu say we sumu fantia we it me gold board no se me toni nyina nam de koma Bank of Ghana pe de sha wode ama me no a sem funso bi ba what the Grammy Gold Board say? And now, Nkofo bisa say Auditor General's report no so no. Can say Bank of Ghana na say can say a can say a gold board.
Okay, Kwame, that question no, the latter part of your question already you have the answer. That in the report,
the report, okay.
From the report, you know, your answer no. So let's not repeat it. Now, let me come to the main question. Main question na nipa no bisa wono. The answer lies with government. Kwame, I am not responsible for policy implementation of government. I'm in my opposition. If our iyaben na introduce a policy, your duty is to put in place the guardrails, the mechanisms for successful implementation. When the policy fails, you take responsibility. So at this point, I don't want to get into the argument where somebody will say, oh, why are you not blaming World Bank? Why are you not blaming BOG? Why are you blaming Gold Board? Why is it that the losses are in the books of BOG? So as for Gold Board, say, you see, that would be amounting to mischief. Why? Because there is a complete structure, a value chain of transaction. You have traced the transaction to where the error, the defect is. So maybe a defect in one, that should be where you hammer. Yes, it is true, and in all fairness, the report, it was Bank of Ghana that IMF audited. Yes, it is true that the losses are in the books of Bank of Ghana. Yes, it is true also that the losses are attributable to which institution? Continue for me from what we read.
Yeah, to the Gold Board.
Yes. Now, in all this structure, Bank of Ghana for Sabi, I want to what artisanal gold now. No.
Well, one mammy said, say.
So what I'm saying is that, Kwame, to make it simple, no, it's a government policy failure. Okay, it's a financial loss to the state, true or false. The loss is in whether you mention Bank of Ghana or Gold Board, you are mentioning what? A loss to the states. Because Gold Board is a state institution.
I was not to wait free money is profit.
How do you account for profit? You account for profit by deducting costs of sales from sales. Anna,
yeah.
The mischief there then is that the cost has not been captured there. The cost has been offloaded to another institution that is a subsidiary. Kwame, let me ask you a question. From the report that you have read, which you are still in possession of, the losses have been identified in the books of BOG, correct?
Correct.
But the losses have been attributable to which institution? Right. Now, Kwame, I haven't know about the Gold Board there. No, I told one of my apologize. No, yes, in common, Kwame. These are reputational issues. So, Nkrumah,
Now I can tell you, sir, and NDC for the chief executive, Sammy Gyamfi, or can on a press conference now say.
Oh, what can I say?
Yes.
Now what about the gains? No, say that's not about me.
No.
What about me with this scenario?
Okay.
You
Page 8 of the press statement, or Kasano. You see, so we are watching say Uniminyansa Bibre now there. When you are Tibibra, Uma upon Chiachi. Page 8 or Kasa or say the Gold Board's statement no. My main man is Kesken India working to BCCA. Oh, communication director, regional.
Yes. Kesken, good morning. That is saying.
Good morning, Minia. Maybe I will call you.
Nyamiadum ahode ewo enti Dr. Kesken na meneno edi enkomo no one is here we newly elected communication officer for the Ashanti region. Enti Dr. Kesken Owusupoku. Dr. Kesken Owusupoku, fantastic young man. We PhD holder. A proper one.
Who MPP need be or use doctor fake that.
Dabi. Ba kubi konya bi. Na no would ekwode ba ha. Ekwode ba ha ho. No ka che producer say omo fa sa de ne ensa. And ye ka say dabi. Ye use sa enti animu ya na daru kwato share do so masa. Who PhD no meso ye chechemu ye. And ogina daru ka say bacho we die. Mani nse dem. Say dabi MPP for the yes ye kan what ase ye kan what was in PhD deal to use but when say they use what ase et Kesken, congratulations to you any baby I will be and I want to say yeah they are me ase
so shania say mana communicate is that much take off smoothly but there's a lot of work to be done
now when Saturday me ba Kumasi no me ra Jubilee Park Holmonano interestingly the copper first person me who no na ye Dr. Isaac Chibrubi and me busa the doc na adene ti say and also hands down what the beko me room and me di go kakra afa me background so na ankasa na me say hu so and am be jam wo chela busa when I was saying Gordon ade we see me nya be less than 80% a best surprise me am ga say there be trouble na delegacy there you can't always trust the election. In fact ye wie ye no ye bo baba na me say gina wo nchen na wudi ne baaye na ka che God media ma wini say die and they say ya na be ko we be wini in fact ye wie saa so na ye na process nyina efa wo fa ne say
mama na otamincha a chief on ashefo na let's share a year party penny for me no Ashanti region so far he's taken off 90 national officers from or medium group from elections committee and a party following in finish conducting and that will be asked. The elections was very peaceful. Obia ko from Kokana nobody was attended from Obeka Asema the Boa party for
except to say if Bakumi will be Mokasa Traso, but Anna is a Fiatina Butno, especially when I need as a party, she came home about winning 2028 election. Yeah, to believe but modern fair, Mr. Ishak Chebobe, the following day. That was around best six something early in the morning. He also proved to be a good sportsman. And my cousin now could be saying never came one my tuma. Now man the year the assurance say if there's any idea or did he say oh yeah but now it's be German or Krano on one leading that very project. You can go find resources for him maybe on also why they're doing it at the end of the day. Or yeah, Miss Reggie, there's a lot of space in the sky for everybody to fly. And see, the other party, communications across the all hands to be on deck. So far, I would say it's so very good. We've taken off nicely. The calls for unity, the actions, are backing those calls. And I hope a better process so that the whole region can stand as one firm block at the 2028 elections.
In fact, before elections, now we are very active na adibia man nipa bebre ye ne won kan so bebre so ehu pa ene o samona mukoko facilities and na kufu and about me am ye no especially hospital facilities na mukọ e the videos no e ba bonten e run commentary e wo ho wo babasi say no we main focus pa no any say my just one pe ni ehu say the communication structure and architecture was anti region afedie e besesa.
Okay, now okay but main corrective uni ma branch na neji minimum na neji pa menene kasa good juma na neji mu ye military normal course hospitals. I was the brain behind it. The year a research from the NDC from 1992 to 2024 omu a single hospital in Ghana. And my research work and you said another we 10 hospitals who said neji ni jimi normal call omu sha say videos. It was part of a bigger project. The shots here near the end of 2024. But some men you power and you do be more power now. Over whom than Kana, to be unable. But in opposition, people are easily able to see the good in the things you are doing. Now, the kind anything as a political party in Ashanti region, the SA and say we need to control the narrative. We a political party, narrative, agenda setting, and you want to lead here. Especially in your strongest holder, you are setting yourself up to fail. And the idea, and this opportunity, party for the Amameno, only pushes me to do it on a bigger scale. At this time now, you make me streamline it, the agenda setting. I'm making sure all communicators to the same line. But first, no particular, no be Indian, I'm be Indian. And I think that is one thing I ever bought. Let me example back. Now we can't saying project size a core. It was because the regional minister, I'm calling any NDC for started narrative say Yanyashi in Ashanti region. And that narrative they start dream water. This is not true. Because with the benefit of facts now one on inflation one. The MPP has done more than the NDC has done in Ashanti region. The core around counted about 72 monumental projects. 72. Can you believe that there were media people who didn't know say yes university wa Akumadan? Now umunim ho say. Umunim say wa MVTI building kakaka. Afan kran krawu school ministry umunim. The number of mega assembly blocks, that assembly block complex no. Yes sabe 16 wa Ashanti region umunim. That big irrigation project wa Akumadan no umunim. Staff quarters, judges quarters, court ACC. Even within Akumadan and Honor. And Majuma Kesene said that narrative, let's say you're making sure say ya semono yakama and kofati Bepumene, Uko a year Sewa, and Kofokran say your system a you on STEM JHS, ECB or if you say job in class STEM JHS, very big one is your baby credit. And these are things that moving into an election 2028. Untimi enka say wonyamana wa in the region no omo ho deru the ye kodu ye NDC ba ma abandoned for about 20 months agena one project in kwa be 32 ba ma abandoned na we need to revisit them and have a conversation no problem ka so memo majuma Now, Omunyam Farm, agenda 133. We need to revisit that and have a conversation. Automatic posting, all these things. Unnecessary. We need to have a proper intellectual conversation. And as a conversation here, locally relevant. Just imagine, say, we do a dance. Now, your issues, the word dance, a dance here, I don't understand it. How do you expect the person to vote for MPP about Bechibelamti in touching Watson? Oh, no, only direct influence, only direct benefit. It comes back to the agenda we are setting. And the narrative you want to control, the relationships we build with the media. And I can assure you, this is something might be, and now we all watch until you follow the politics, communication, for the last 19 years. Working with some Kujo, Kwesi and Esquaqua, Poyando. And we are very, very in tune with your politics. Never they say, because we are the one, but in all humility, we are going to serve and make sure that the communication phase, you are turning around. Nyama, Janya, so
Ibrahim Adam, George Sipayanki, Danabu Dakpe. Tatuti kata omo nyina no omani hrisika uhwe under President Kufuor Eugene Bafo Boni Tevie Alhaji Salifu Mimina
anya national security for NMC for no NCA National Communication Authority for
omo nyina no so si omani hre sika so apart from in recent times mpo omo de omo ekojina court and edi o masterma nolly prosecutor attorney general iba ya wo be dia o munyina no wo hwa Unibank case ya Dr. Dufour o man hwe 663.3 million Ghana cedis wo hwa Sagleme housing project ya Collins Dawda case no $200 million
yes
and o man hwe wo hwa Ernest Thompson sa Senate ne OBS case na o man hwe $14.8 million na wa down for said na there
Mr. Mr. Madam for no madam
finance minister at force in case no ambulance case no o man hwe 2.37 million euros
yes
opuni o man hwe 217 million Ghana cedis and so NDC buy o ma be jai o mu nyina but o hwe cases na e wo court na ni nyina ye cases na o man na hwe sika na o man na e hwe ni sika age back
yeah
what you say o hwe banking sector
clean up
exercise here by ya Asian atuation ekoda fiase ya eno so na o man na hwe sika o ma onu kwado we so obetua back in the process na went to mentua ni nyina o de kokofim but enkoba say obi a breach an act ebi act no kra sa chese so obi breach an act ekwan a wo se e fa so ema nipa ne yedai ema no e correct those acts no and am dey me bias argument na che no me sounded that even the charge sheet omo dey charge chairman want to me
yes
e be ha say who can charge sheet ni nyina eni cheche mo omo dey about charge sheet na nowhere that is say chairman want to me akoye galam say
yes
inti at best chese bia we breach an act so we breach an act sir act na so kire kwan ayemfa ne mfa so what do you say say reclamation ni na say yeah at least e bia a fine but and this why your imagine say kwan bia omo be fa so a omo be fa so e de chairman want to makotum no omo be fa no omo de na papotum
yes
na me say be chese say bia e bia exam case no and as almost akwa koko rules bi akwaji sika bi na why waje o man sika ma o man ahwere sika bi e na wo se o cha won ntimi ade ya waye de o man ahwere sika nti yemfa no kojina asem dibia na yemfa no kokotuma na so wajeli na na kotum mpo a nka mini issue bia wo
gido fato so falete no to so
se company fantastic presidency enra no mo issue ye
okay eti Miridi okay, Mami Miridi. Was say Adamus Resources Limited gets reprieve from government. Now we share Felix Kwachu for a Facebook page. Now the hal ayo de to say Adamus gets reprieve. Hey, nana die
obi breach an act ayamano.
Aye. Intino henfa. Okay. Oh, I don't know.
But you see, me call Ellie or Boss St. Joseph. Mamma call a Montessori.
Reprieve. Mamma can you okay. Just said watch out.
Oh dear.
Wanyamwa. Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Minerals Commission, Adamus Resources Limited have been asked by government to present a 12-month roadmap for turning the mine around. The roadmap will include a 6-member management team formed between Adamus and government to supervise the turnaround of the mine. The membership of the committee will include 3 members from the Adamus side and 3 members from the government side. The agreement followed a meeting at the presidency aimed at resolving the dispute between the two parties to salvage what is one of a few operating indigenous large-scale mines. The roadmap will include a plan for settling liabilities by Adamus to Ghana Revenue Authority, Minerals Income Investment Fund, financial institutions, and suppliers. The road breaching an act or the GRE at the Minerals Income Investment Fund for and the financial institutions and the suppliers.
Yes, apart from so breaching an act, no, or sa or mine at risk.
Yes, there was the roadmap will also include exploring means to inject fresh capital by inviting additional partners to take up equity in the mine operation. The two sides are expected to present the roadmap to the presidency in 2 weeks. Felix Kwachu Fusu, MP, spokesperson to the president, Minister, Government Communications, and a hormone. Pacho,
fantastic.
Okay.
Inti say obi breach an act. Na say ono act now where you say or the nasase legitimate concession akoma obi amobi akoya adwuma wo so eno kra no another dispute yen settle say deed of assignment whether say or the man no one farm no do no mko so another issue, but the point is that mo say to my want to meet the legitimate concession akoma obi ma obi akoya adwuma wo so.
Yes,
na e breach the act wabra nipa no de command no also reclamation na one reclamation to on them 20 years. Fine. Na ono a anka ubetimi a fine no ama wetima kwakwaya the reclamation go legitimate concession.
Yes.
One penny. Na another one ono so abreach that same minerals act here dey picture ma wetima akota yin no. Ono de nyase bia wo breach the act numpo keke
dabi
reclamation
almost Omega na lose 205 million Ghana cedis.
Fantastic.
Me enu na wo hell
na o ma chechem o man no GRA some do not the GRA ka
dabi obeta ye free so why
ene o ma chechem say ka o de GRA ni mef ni ade a ontua eni nyina no ono de enam say okura edin fufuro nti ana ebi a owo some association bi emu ana say oben obi nti mama no ana what the political declaration bi nti now you sure so we need political
there be so MPP dey dia ekedinatu.
Oh yes, oh yes, mafena matu kola afena matu
say ke this MPP dia ekedinatu
and hey ana one more GRA
Aboka 205.
No,
they say I can boost for your mood on the
20. Kobunya be 40.
I will say kombema ombechi chemu. Yes. Omeka kwase financial loss to the state kombedi sa asem no.
Yes.
What I say, you know 205 million no ombedi ya no nko. And na legal mine no most more evidence say China for be galaxy.
Yes.
Ombedi ya no so ati et court 1 court 2 court 3 court 4 court 5 ni nyina obeji na ho.
Yes.
Na wasa na kofa commercial court so. Et ko be 6 courts. Why NDC niya?
Oya MPP niya.
Na so why MPP niya?
Yes.
Angela List.
Na anya selective justice na.
Selective justice of course.
Hwe na no make sa argument we me unu Charles maka to another program so. Onu kwa was hit go face.
Command for dia
no. Onu so sa.
Yes.
But mo sumpo na ya invite no to even Yoko anasi ya dia na post so. O me chechire mu.
The Peter can say Mines and Minerals Act no.
Yes.
Se will be breachia.
Your client
the first one.
Yes.
Ni because one not they want to tax that because we MPP ni intra. Because yanko.
Na enti ayareho but emre na bechere. Ene chema wuntumi. Ochina bi na mbeka say ochina bi betuma koye President Muhammad Nua ya sa stations bi ebe peke ede ko 1990 baby ekoye nyoma bebre say me say ekoba say amanse sa Ibrahim Muhammad so one ya ni bechere. Me ya agbona me check say because if we are not careful obi be your mind bi amanse sana say who no fa now.
Yaba omo chi omo galamse no omo atu omumu yaba ma omo amnesty no omo asaba